Friendships podcast with Anna and Gale, the show we started because we like to overthink.
For today's podcast, we are going to talk about creative energy, something that has become a big theme in our life when the pandemic started. Well, especially for me, I think it's one of the goals that I set for myself, particularly this year. And I was telling Gail that that's something I feel very strongly about for some reason. Like, I don't know why, but I feel like it's just one of those things that the pandemic magnified and triggered or like our survival mode. And it made me realize that it's something that I need to survive and feel human. So to start off with our conversation, let's talk about how we first coped with the pandemic.
Ako kasi mahilig ako lumabas, maglakwatsa, ganyan. Tapos I thought na it was something I had to do to just maintain yung level of like peace and happiness and satisfaction. So medyo kabado din ako na hindi pwede lumabas. Tapos surprisingly enough, the pandemic, well, sabihin natin na the pandemic, marami siyang hindi magagandang effect sa maraming tao. Pero I also can't deny na I got a lot of good out of it. Just from the fact na hindi tayo makalabas and I had to cope or turn inwards to cope. Ikaw, how was that experience for you?
I think in the beginning, it didn't sink in yet because nobody thought that it would last this long, right? Parang we were thinking in 3 months, like the lockdown will be over and we'll be able to go about our usual day-to-day things before the pandemic. But because I was living at an apartment with my cousins, one of the first things I had to address was how to feed myself. Because before the pandemic, I was used to just eating out and buying my meals outside, like when I'm in the office. So when the pandemic started, I had to find ways to get my groceries. Like, it was difficult in the beginning because a lot of businesses like had to adapt to the situation. Like, not everybody was digitized yet, or they had to figure out like their channels and how to deliver their goods. So, but lucky enough, like we did have some access to like these apps, and I was living in a prime location naman, and we have access to like small like merchants like that. So that's the first thing that I started doing, just like doing my groceries and planning my meals and cooking for myself. And I'm not really a cook actually, so I'm not a good cook. I don't like cooking, but I was surprisingly enjoying the process because of the fact that I was able to try new things in the kitchen. And it was like, I found it very enjoyable for me at the time to try different recipes, like do my meal planning, even if hindi naman masarap. Like, total lang, hindi ako nasarapan sa linaluto ko. I mean, okay lang, sakto lang. There are some dishes that were good, but there are some that were just okay, but you know, I still ate them anyway. But I really just enjoyed the process in general and being able to experiment. Like, sometimes ang tagal-tagal ko sa kitchen. Like, that's all I would do, like before going to work and even after work and on weekends. Kasi diba, we were just at home. Like, I was in a very small apartment. And at that time, diba, nagkaroon ng mga like trends, like yung dalgona coffee, like ube pandesal, and people started baking bread and stuff. Right? Ay, like si Gale. Si Gale started making bread. So I think there's something there, diba? Parang there's something creative about doing things in the kitchen, right? Like culinary
Yeah.
arts. And I didn't realize nga before na it was something na I needed, or it was something that was bringing joy to my day, considering cooking is something na I don't really like doing.
Ayaw mo pa rin ba magluto hanggang ngayon? Hindi mo
Ah,
siya nagugustuhan gawin?
to be honest, I'm interested to cook because of the experimentation aspect of it, but not right now because I don't like the pressure of having to cook for like other people and having to please everybody. And
Gets.
yeah, kasi kung ako lang, like if I'm just cooking for myself, like who cares? Like I'm happy with whatever I create, like, or I cook. But then if I'm gonna cook for my mom or like my brother or whoever like in the household, parang naka-stress for me yung pressure na I have to deliver, and I just don't wanna deal with that stress right now.
Correct. So pag kung mag-isa ka, sa tingin mo may enjoy mo
For
siya?
sure, kung mag-isa lang ako, yeah, magluluto talaga ako.
Oh, okay. Ano yung mga gusto mong lutuin? I just wanna know kung ano yung mga type mong
Well,
explore.
I'd start off with my favorite dishes. So, yun nga, at the time, like last year, mga like basic Filipino stuff that I think is simple enough to do. Like, gumawa ko ng sinigang, pero hindi siya yung karne. Kasi I was worried na hindi ko makukuha yung tamang texture or like na hindi siya magiging tender. So, I used salmon belly instead kasi no fail yun yung salmon belly. Like, after you put all the gulay and then just put the salmon belly and then that's it. Like, there's no way you can fail that process. Right? So, yun. Tapos, I did adobo. Yung adobo, medyo nag-fail ako ng adobo. But, it's more of like, masyado siyang naging parang naubos yung sauce, but it turned out to be good because that's how I like adobo. I like adobo that's not heavy on the sauce. So yun, yung mga favorite stuff like spaghetti, like children's party spaghetti is also a favorite comfort food of mine. So I tried making that, and parang hindi rin siya perfect, but then like every time I make it, natutuwa talaga ako, like, oh my gosh, I made like isang platter of spaghetti, and then I would even send it to like my friends nearby, like, and yun, I was dating somebody pa nga at the time, tapos pinapadalan ko siya ng ulam yung mga niluluto ko, like yeah, like, yeah, basta. So it was something that brought joy definitely at the start of the pandemic, and so this was even before the whole fitness and exercise journey thing.
Oh my God. Baka dapat nga talaga magluto ka. Kasi like, parang ang impression ko from you is, generally na you have very strong opinions about food. Parang alam mo kung ano yung gusto mo, tsaka or alam mo yung masarap sa'yo, tsaka alam mo yung hindi masarap sa'yo. Ganun.
Yeah.
And I imagine that would naturally extend to cooking then, ganun, and making your own food.
It's just, I recognize that it's a very tedious process. Like, it's a skill that you actually need to practice and learn. And I find that medyo stressful. Like, if it was just me and, I can't be bothered with anything else, parang, okay, I think that would work. But if I have to, like, deal with other people, like, nitpicking or, like, giving feedback and stuff.
Nakaka-stress yun.
Mga conscious ako. Like, even when I was living with my cousins, comment sila parang, ilang oras ka na dyan? Parang, ka na, 4 hours ka na nagaluto ng adobo dyan. Like,
gets, ka-stress din yun.
Yeah, I was like, what? 4 hours na ba? 4 hours na ako dito naghihiwa and shit. So, like, okay, like, I just don't want, like, people around when I'm in the kitchen.
Gets.
Yeah. How about you? Like, can you share about like your bread baking like stint? Because you were into that for a long time din right?
Oo. Ilang buwan din yun last
Yeah. And
year.
then
Parang start ng August 2020 hanggang... Ay, Christmas pala ang binigay kong mga regalo sa mga kaibigan ko. Yung parang garlic loaf, ganyan. Na parang a year prior, I never would have imagined myself parang giving away bread to friends.
yeah, I mean, bakit mo naisip bread in particular?
Bakit nga ba? Hindi naman ako crazy about bread, pero I do remember seeing a video long ago about, I guess parang banker siya eh. French dude na banker, tapos he quit his banking job to make bread. Tapos ang ganda lang nung video na, or yung image na yung nagmamasa siya ng dough, ganun. So anyway, dahil nga pandemic din, tapos parang siguro nakikita ko rin sa socials ko na yung mga tao nagbe-bake din sila. So tinry ko siya. Tapos sa YouTube lang ako nag-aral and stuff online. And wala, nakakatuwa lang kasi parang you can actually learn shit like that from YouTube. Tapos na-enjoy ko siya. Kasi kasi parang yung unang bread talaga, yung unang ginawa ko, talagang siya, yung dense na hindi siya talaga umbalsa.
Mm-hmm.
Tapos nung first time ko siyang nagawang umbalsa, parang, holy shit. Parang,
it's real.
wow, I actually made,
yeah.
something na worth eating, ganyan. Oh, I made actual real food, real bread. Tapos, yan, hanggang ngayon ako pa rin naman gumagawa ng bread dito sa bahay. Hindi na kami bibili ng pandesal sa labas.
Talaga ba? Okay. You
Kasi,
know how to make pandesal?
In a way, yung ginagawa kong rolls dito sa bahay, I guess shape siya ng pandesal and like malambot siya, may crust, pero wala lang siyang breadcrumbs sa labas.
Okay.
Pero I'm very happy with that bread. I love that bread. Hindi ako ng pandesal sa labas.
I find it really amazing because I find baking so much more intimidating than cooking. Like actually, when I was younger, I thought that baking was easy because it just looks so fun, right? Yung parang cookies, ganyan, cake, bread, ganyan. Pero actually, parang when I experienced it like as an adult, parang it's it's not as foolproof as cooking kasi there's like a method or you have to understand how baking works. Like, hindi siya basta-basta like pasok mo sa oven and then yun na yun, diba? Parang you have to understand like yung how to preheat the oven, like how long, like, and kailangan matansya mo yung exact na time it takes to bake it so that you get the right texture. And even the ingredients, like kunwari sumobra ka lang sa ganito or like parang there's also science behind like how much sugar to put or even how much flour, or like if you want to do sugar-free stuff, like you have to find a way to still keep the bread or the pastry like soft and moist kasi there's certain ingredients that allow that to happen, right? So if wala kang ganun, kailangan may alternatives ka, ganyan. So it sounds like a more complicated process for me.
I'd say then like I'm only confident making yung normal bread na may yeast, ganyan, loaves, and like rolls na pandesal like rolls. Pero when it comes to like sourdough, hindi ko pa nagagawa yung like the sourdough that we probably have in our heads na umaalsang ganyan. Hindi ko siya mapaalsa talaga. Hanggang nag-give up na ako sa kanya. Kasi nasasaktan ako eh. Hindi ko siya mapaalsa.
I know. Like, hindi ba nakaka-frustrate yun? Like, and parang sayang
Ano
kasi
yan? Sorry.
because it's food. It's like something that's supposed to be edible. So, pag it doesn't turn out like
Oo.
good, parang sayang, like shit, like you still have to eat it. Like, I don't
Oo.
know.
Oo, kasi ako lang yung kumakain para 6 kami dito sa bahay. Ako lang yung kumakain ng sourdough. Kaya pag palpak, ako yung kumakain. Tapos pag by the third day, ayoko na. So, binibigay ko siya sa mga birds, ganyan. Pero mostly tinatapon ko. Syempre, pero hindi siya magandang gawain.
Yeah, diba?
Parang masama siya.
Sakit gawin. Yeah, I mean,
So, yun.
I tried baking once during the pandemic. Like, I tried baking cookies.
Cookies ba? Yun,
Yes.
nakwento mo
Tapos
sa
parang,
akin.
shit, like, ang hirap pala nito. As in, that story about yung how God created humans, like yung Filipino myth, yung parang paano nagkaroon ng Pinoy, 'di ba? Merong hilaw, merong sunog, tapos meron yung sakto lang, ganyan. So that's exactly like what happened when I baked cookies. Like the first batch was sunog. It's like, oh shit, parang ba't ganun? Kasi like, no, I think, no, sorry. It was hilaw, I think. Okay, it was hilaw. And then, the second batch was sakto na. Kasi probably the first batch, hindi pa siya ganun ka na preheat or whatever. Second batch, ayos na. And then by the third batch, biglang sunog. Because probably, sobrang init na ng oven. So apparently, the longer your baking time is, parang the shorter the time you keep them baking upon batch. And that, I guess that makes sense, right? Pag sobrang init na ng oven, dapat less time spent baking. And I didn't know that. And it was just so frustrating na ayoko na siyang ulitin yung process. Kasi parang yun nga, like what happened to you sa bread, yung parang hindi na masarap. Sayang. Tapos sino kakain? Like,
parang all that time, kasi ingredients. Masakit siya sa loob.
Yeah. Yun, and the ingredients pa, parang, kasi iba ka, diba, yung baking ingredients kasi it's not the same as like yung pag magluluto ka. Kasi when you're cooking, yun nga, it's so easy like, you just put everything on the pan, tapos, diba, like, pag, yung, kumbaga, yung, wala kang, hindi factor yung stove or yung pagluto mismo. Kasi it's easy to adjust or like to add salt kung kulang sa salt or whatever. Diba? Mas mas forgiving ang cooking. And yeah, so yun. And then, but though I mentioned nga na I stopped cooking na because I'm now staying with my family. So I don't wanna deal with the the pressure and the stress of having to please everybody. So,
ay shit, naalala ko lang. Nung nag-camping kami sa Tanay nung a few weekends ago. So nagluto ako ng itlog. Tapos, grabe, lahat sila, ang dami nila, lahat sila may sinasabi sa akin kung paano ko dapat lutuin yung itlog. Na-stress talaga ako. Na-stress
oh my
ako.
gosh. Wait,
Basta
ano
imagine
nangyari?
mo na yung mga friends natin. Lahat sila may hirit sila na basta may hirit sila, na-stress ako. Yun lang.
Ayun. But since nga nawala na yung cooking like from my routine, then I had to think of, I guess, other ways to fulfill that need. Yeah, and that's something that I struggled with at the start of the year kasi I didn't know what activity to do. So I wasn't sure. So I actually tried different creative stuff that never lasted. As in like,
ano yung mga tinry mo?
For first is I got a coloring book. Yeah, because my friends kasi like made like some artworks for me and my other friend for a birthday, and some of them had the coloring book for yung parang adult coloring book, and then yun yung binigay nila na artwork sa amin. I found it so cute and I found it so like interesting. Parang like I can do this also kasi it's something that I enjoy doing when I was a kid. So I got a coloring book, and then siguro like for the first few weeks, like yun lang yung ginagawa ko, like on weekends. Nagko-color ako. Tapos eventually, like, I lost interest. Kasi, ewan ko, tinamad ako or hindi ko na siya na-feel it tuloy. I think yung challenge ko doon was, hindi rin pala siya ganun kadali, like yung mag-color. So I got this.
How so?
Yeah, I got this Japanese themed coloring book. So the illustrations were like on Japanese culture. So merong food, merong cityscape, like mga Japanese arts and crafts, mga dolls. So they're very intricate like illustrations. And I realized na my challenge was I didn't know what color to use. Like, kung the illustration was like an entire cityscape na sobrang detailed na, as in, like, imagine this wall, like, ganyan, merong wall, merong buildings, merong roads, merong mga signage, like, tapos parang hindi ko maisip, like, anong kulay ba dapat to? And then, so, ginagawa ko nag-Google pa ako ng Japanese like landscape ganyan para makuha ko kung anong color dapat yung building ganyan. So hindi rin parang may medyo may stress factor din siya. Like yung parang ano ba, it's supposed to be like enjoyable but I can't even think what color to use ganyan. Medyo yeah, and overthink ko pa kung anong kulay ganyan. And also I think I also didn't have the right coloring materials and I didn't feel like spending on them yet. Kasi marami kaming coloring materials dito sa bahay, like from when I was a kid, as in yung crayons and coloring pencils, but they're really old. So yung hindi na siya maganda gamitin, like kulang yung colors or like mabilis maputol, ganyan. So there's that. But I didn't want to buy like a new set of coloring materials kasi I was worried na baka hindi ko rin siya gamitin. So, wag na lang. There.
I appreciate that. Parang that's legit. Na parang it's okay for us to explore things, to try things. And then, pag hindi na natin siya feel, it's okay to drop them.
Oh.
Ganun. To not do them. Kasi ako naman, ang naalala ko dyan, yung meron kasing app called Musician. Tapos nasa phone lang siya, and then yun yung ginagamit ko to learn guitar because I've always wanted to learn to play guitar to get the girls. Pero noong April nagbumili ako ng 1-year subscription kasi medyo mura lang siya, 1,000 something lang. So, isang buong year na yun. Tapos ang galing ng app kasi maririnig niya kung nasa tono yung ginagawa mo, kung tama yung ginagawa mo or hindi. Tapos ginawa ko rin siya for ilang weeks hanggang sa tumigil ako and then hindi ko pa siya pinipick up uli since, ganun. Parang ilang buwan na.
Yeah.
Pero gusto ko pa rin matuto.
Play the guitar. So why aren't you like learning?
Kasi mahirap pala siya. Dumating ako dun sa part na mahirap. Noong una madali pa yung parang isa-isang lang yung ipaplak-plak mo lang ganun. Tapos may mga chords ka na mahirap eh. Mahirap na siya, uncomfortable na siya. Pero siguro if I were really feeling ko gusto ko pa rin naman. Parang I just have to get through that uncomfortable phase.
Yeah.
Pero sige try ko bukas. Gusto ko pa rin talaga matuto.
I
pero
guess
uncomfortable na siya.
Priority, maybe it's a matter of priorities lang din. Like baka you have other priorities, that's why hindi mo siya natututukan. Which is also fine. But what that means is merong discipline that you need to work on then.
Yeah. Like I saw a video some time ago din, around the time din nag-aano ko ng gitara. Parang crucial yung you stick to the craft or the discipline or the thing that you want to learn especially when it's uncomfortable na and you feel stupid learning it. Parang you have to stick through that phase. And then if you do that, parang that's your path to success at the thing.
Yeah. Just like with anything, diba? Parang nothing naman is ever easy at the start, right? So you really have
I
to...
want things easy all the time.
Ganun tayo.
Joke lang, go on.
Diba? Oh yeah, diba? Like it I guess it depends on how important it is to us, right? Or if meron tayong mahanap na ibang alternative. So yun, I guess like for me, yung coloring wasn't really a big deal. It's just a coloring book, so whatever. And then I tried to get into cross-stitching naman. Because my sister was into it. As in, grabe, like, nakailang cross-stitch na siya. And then every time she would like visit us, yun lang din yung ginagawa niya for a time. So she tried to influence me also. So I did get my own cross-stitch kit. And I had fun in the beginning. The problem with cross-stitch is that you get so into the zone that you end up not doing anything else. As in, nangyari sa akin, buong araw, yun lang yung ginagawa ko. As in, ito lang akong nagawa. Like, di na ako napaglinis ng bahay.
Na-addict ka sa cross-stitch.
And then the funny thing was, like, I spent like the whole day, whole night cross-stitching. Pero ang natapos ko lang is like a tiny like piece. Like parang isang corner lang. Tapos yun na, buong araw yun.
Grabe!
Yeah, so it's like,
labor-intensive pala
I know,
yan.
like, bakit ang tagal ko? And then, like, I spent, like, so many hours, tapos yun lang. Kaya parang,
Sorry, natatawa na imagine ko. Buong araw, buong gabi.
Yeah. Ganun lang. Yeah, so, like, I think, I lost my patience. So, parang, hindi ko na siya nagawa. Hindi ko siya natapos. And that was what? I got it April. So, it was around the same time I got the coloring book.
Okay.
Wala, hindi pa rin siya tapos. Kasi, wala akong ibang nagagawa. So, it's like, I guess, mas important sa akin yung, like, being able to do other things, like, exercise or, like, cleaning. So,
wow. Pero nagustuhan mo yung the act of,
well, it was
cross-stitching?
more of, like, I think both coloring and cross-stitching are more mental activities. Like, parang like for me, it puts you more into a meditative state rather than like, as parang hindi siya stimulating enough siguro for me to consider as creative. Kasi I'm just following a pattern. Like, yun nga, yung coloring, nandun na yung ito-color ko, so I just have to choose the colors to use. Kasi cross-stitch, yun nga, parang may binubuo ka lang na pattern. So I'm not really like creating something unique, like on my own. Or like using my brain to...
Right, and like parang making creative decisions.
Yes. So wala siyang creative process. So baka that's why hindi ko na rin siya na prioritize kasi it wasn't it for me. Like, this isn't the creative output that I'm looking for. Yun. So yun, tapos after that, nangyari na yung podcast. Tapos I feel like this is the one. This is the one that really like hit the spot for me. Yun. Yeah, and then yun nga, tapos recently I got a deck of tarot cards because I realized that I enjoy like coming up with ideas, generating insights, and finding connections and learning about myself and life in general. So, like for me, I find that a creative practice yung reading tarot cards. And
sige nga, pwede ka magkwento pa about yung like a particular tarot reading
Actually, like,
or na ginawa mo?
I have been exposed to tarot before, like, when I was in my 20s. Like, my sister was into it, I had some friends who were into it, and I've always enjoyed, like, having, like, my cards read. But it's not something I thought I could do, like, myself. Kasi parang, I just found the idea so, like, kind of crazy. I mean, I like receiving the advice, pero hindi ko ma-imagine na paano, like ako, like paano ko may isip yun kung ako yung magbabasa. Like, I couldn't imagine myself being the one doing the reading. I think it was only recently kasi na I realized na mahilig pala ako sa ganon. Like, I got into astrology, I think actually during the pandemic lang, or maybe in the past 3 years lang. Like, I got so into zodiac signs. And then, diba, we're also into all of these like personality tests, like Myers-Briggs, and it kind of like, of course, we don't naman believe in them like fully, right? It's more of it's just nice to be able to use it as a guide to understand like behaviors and people. And then,
Yeah.
I don't know, for some reason, accurate siya eh. Like, I have this like strong sense na it's accurate or it's true, like for
yung tarot, you mean?
Yeah, like the things that we learn from all these frameworks or like ways of understanding things and the world around us. Tapos sa tarot naman, it was because I remember that your sister did a reading for me, right? And then syempre, like, I was trying to decipher it myself. Kasi like nung una, it like when you're presented with tarot cards, kasi diba may mga ano yan, may mga symbols, may mga visuals and everything. Like, may ano yan, cups, may swords, ganyan, parang ano ba to? Like, it feels like intimidating. Kasi parang, what is this, right? But then when I started to research more on what those like symbols or cards meant, parang I started to appreciate the visuals. Kasi what's interesting about the tarot is also very visual. So you can use the visual to interpret what the card is trying to tell you.
Is it parang is it more about kung ano yung nandun sa card or yung like feeling mo or intuition?
It's both eh. So parang kasi it's kind of like art, diba? When you view a piece of art, it's up to you how you're going to interpret it. Like even poetry, like, or even song lyrics, ganyan. It could mean something to someone else. It could mean like this to you. It depends eh. Parang how you're going to relate it to your life. And I did not understand that aspect of tarot cards before, na yung visuals pala matter a lot. Like hindi ko siya appreciate before yung illustrations, ganyan. Kaya when I remember when my sister was like telling me about like tarot cards, like sasabi niya na there's this deck na I think you might like, ganyan. Ako parang like hindi ako nakikinig parang kasi hindi ko talaga siya na-appreciate. And then when I start, there's just one day lang na I got curious, so I was searching for different decks. And kasi I see like Instagram accounts and people who offer like readings, and then they make their own decks also. So parang na-curious ako, like parang you can do that pala. Like may mga ganon,
pwede pala yun.
Yeah. And like the different styles and takes. And I found that so interesting na may ganon. Like there's like a modern version of tarot. Like what I got is a zombie deck na yung illustrations niya are depict zombie apocalyptic world, which is very fitting to like our current like times, diba? Parang,
oo nga, no?
parang we're all like trying to survive like this pandemic. So parang nakarelate talaga ako dun sa images that they're being used, ganyan. So
Okay, gets.
I think that's how I got into it. Parang na-appreciate ko yung art behind it. And then I realized nga na mahilig ako mag-dissect ng thoughts, ng ideas, and kind of like identify patterns and connect things together. Like I've always known that about me, but I didn't realize before that I could do that as a hobby. Because I was doing it before as part of my work as a content strategist in my previous job, which I enjoyed a lot. Like I enjoyed coming up with brand campaigns and generating insights about human behavior and how we can relate a certain brand to like a certain target market, ganyan. That's why I enjoyed my job so much back then. And hindi ko naisip na that's something that I could also translate to other things.
Right.
Yeah, parang na-discover ko lang siya when we started doing this podcast na the creative process behind it is very similar to what I was doing before. And yung creative process behind me doing the tarot readings, it's also kind of similar. It feels like it's an art to me. Pag, kunwari, nag-shuffle ako ng cards, tapos I think about the question, the person, and then I just kind of like feel things out. Tapos, pag linatag ko na yung cards, it's so interesting kasi nakita ko talaga yung nakita ko yung patterns and nakita ko yung connections. And even if like, obviously, hindi naman ako like fortune teller or Madam Auring or ganyan. I cannot predict like shit. Like,
Madam Ana.
Oo, Madam Ana. Like, pero, I don't know, there's just something in my gut that tells me na this is what it means.
That's so nice. I mean, that's so nice to hear na parang it feels true sa loob.
Yeah, and then, although hindi ko pa kabisado yung cards, like, I still have to Google everything every time I do a reading. Kailangan ko pa siyang i-search. But I find that process also very interesting. Parang, okay, so this is what it means pala, ganyan. Or like, when you do tarot kasi, there are different ways you can approach it. And usually, the readings can be attributed to either love, career, or finance. Yun yung usual na framework na ginagamit. Yeah.
Di ba? Parang yun lang ata ang concerns. Main
ng mga
concerns ng tao. Pera o pag-ibig.
Pag-ibig. Tama. And it's connected. It's actually all connected. So, diba? Yun. So I enjoy doing that.
That's good to hear.
Okay. Ikaw, like, what are like the other creative things that you tried getting into or wanna do?
I guess itong podcast is the other creative thing. Tapos, alam mo nga, a few days ago, bumili ako ng nag-order ako sa Shopee ng yung mga tools na panggawa ng leather things.
Yeah.
Basta yung fork na panggawa ng butas, ganyan. Hindi ko alam kung bakit yun yung napili ko. Pero I've always liked the look of leather. Plus, it also appeals, actually, ang gusto kong gawin, to restore or reuse or upcycle old things. Parang ganun yung nakikita kong ideal or parang end situation na gusto kong mangyari with starting to learn leather stuff. Like an old, parang bag, gagawin kong wallet, ganyan or something.
I think that's a really good idea. How did you come up with that? Like, parang randomly, like,
bakit nga ba? Kasi yung wallet ko kasi talaga, lang siya, coin purse na ganun. Ayoko ng wallet na yung binubuksan na or ayoko rin yung ganun, yung long wallet. Kasi ayoko nagdadala ng bag pag lumalabas ako. Gusto ko nakalagay lang sila sa mga pockets ko. So, coin purse is perfect for me. Kasi yung cards, yung pera, ganyan. Tapos, yung coin purse ko, parang nasira yung zipper niya. So, gusto ko na siyang palitan. Tapos, hirap na hirap ako maghanap ng coin purse na katulad nung gusto ko. As in, simple lang. Ganun lang siya. May zipper sa loob, sa taas. Tapos sa loob, may compartment. Lalagyan ko ng keys. Tapos sa labas, mayroong mapaglalagyan ng cards. Ganun. So, hindi ako makahanap ng ganun lang. Tapos, I guess somehow, I came across content siguro about making your own leather things. Tapos, naisip ko rin, since natuto naman ako ng baking sa YouTube, baka matuto din naman ako ng leather crafting sa YouTube.
Oh yeah, for sure you
So
can
we'll
do
see.
that. I do have a
We'll
friend
see.
who got into leather crafts then I think before pa, pero parang she continued that during the pandemic, and then nakapagawa siya ng bag.
Whoa.
Yeah, or laptop, I think laptop bags din. Kasi diba people were working from home, or basta parang biglang nauso ulit yung laptop sleeve. Ganyan. So, I think ako she's able to make some stuff. So, yeah, I think that's really, it's also really nice yung idea of repurposing stuff.
Gusto ko yun. Gusto ko yung, ewan ko ba, feeling ko parang scavenger ako or magnanakaw in a past life. Yung parang nag-scavenge for things na tas ewan ko, basta gusto ko yung idea na yun. Yung parang mga patapon na bagay, tapos gagawin mo siyang something.
You're actually a very resourceful person. Like, I can sense that yung past life mo na imagine, scavenger. Yeah, kasi parang ang galing mo din maghalongkat diba? Like, when you're interested in a certain topic, like, biglang ang dami mo nang nahugot na, like, research about it, ganyan.
Tsaka certain person.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Nahanap ko na yung mga social nila. Yung mga Tumblr nila.
Well, actually, ganun din ako. Like, I like researching. Marami akong nahanap.
Content. Hanash content.
I guess that's part of it. Like, it's part of what fuels our creativity. Like, being able to learn more from the process, right? Yun.
Expound pa. What do you mean?
Like, we enjoy it because there's always something new to uncover or learn. So, yeah, exactly. It feels like an experiment din kasi, like, to me in general. So, gusto ko yun, yung parang, what if we try this or ito, tapos, and then it just, like, blossoms into, like, other things, right?
Yeah.
Last year din kasi, one of the things I wanted to work on was, like, getting, I think, I mentioned this to you before. I wanted to get my mojo back because I just felt like I was uninspired in general. Na parang like, dry. Like,
what is mojo in this context?
Well, I think when I think of mojo, it's like your secret sauce. It's like your secret weapon. What keeps you, like, excited and, like, fueled and just, like, ready to take on the world, ganyan. Na energy. And then when I started getting into, like, finding creative outlets, ganyan, I stumbled upon this article about how, like, creative energy is actually the same or connected or similar to, like, sexual energy. Like, kumbaga, the excitement that we get, like, from being creative is the same energy that we get when we're excited to be with a partner. Yeah.
I nagigets ko siya in the sense na parang, di ba parang binabanggit ko yung, like, hanash energy, which is parang I really love that sort of feeling na wala lang, saya-saya mo.
Yeah.
pumanash.
And you know how like yung, diba, there's that concept of having a muse? Diba? Parang,
Oh,
diba
yeah.
artists have like a muse? Parang yun yung inspiration nila. Feeling ko yun yung Hanash energy. It's like having a muse to make you feel inspired to like. I thought before that hindi siya maganda. Like it wasn't like I was, or rather I was worried that having like an inspiration or like crush to pine over and fuel like or keep you motivated wasn't healthy kasi I was worried na baka you're doing that because of your crush. Kasi like naisip ko baka gusto ko lang to gawin kasi ito yung gusto ng crush ko. Ganyan. But then I realized na it's not. Kasi naisip ko yung crush ko yung like they are doing things naman na hindi ko naman gustong gawin. So yung mga so it just maybe it helped me like define like what I really want like for myself. It's just I think it just so happens na yun yung nakikita ko rin sa crush ko. That's why I find the connection. Pero parang it's not because I'm doing it because my crush is doing it also. It's because it's something that I really want to do rin. And meron akong insecurity before about being creative. Like I always thought kasi na to be a creative person, kailangan artist ka. Like artist in the sense that you're painting, you're drawing, or you're singing, or basta or performance arts, ganyan. But ngayon ko lang din in-embrace na I can be a creative person in my own way and not necessarily in an artist way.
Right.
Yeah, and which is great. Like parang it's one of my, I think, winning moments this 2021 is being able to embrace that side of me. And it also helped na I had friends telling me na, you know, I've always thought you were creative, ganyan. Kasi like it was something that I was insecure about nga in the past. Because I've also heard of people na they just discovered na magaling pala sila mag-drawing nung matanda na sila. Na artist pala sila.
Gets.
Yeah. So it's just one of those like things na I was brainwashed or made to believe na when I was younger na ganon. So anyway, so yeah, going back to Hanash, so that is my take on the inspiration. Like I think it's a good idea to have a muse.
Oo, no?
Yeah.
No? Parang encourage you to go that extra mile, ganyan, put in that extra effort.
Yeah, ikaw ba? Like, may muse ka ba ngayon? May inspiration ka? Like, what inspires you to be creative?
Romantic na muse? Wala eh. Wala.
Or is there somebody na you admire?
Ano nga ba? Ang motivation ko is parang I wanted to stop being parang like a cog in this parang capitalist machinery nga na I wanted to be parang I wanted to stop being a worker or a person with this job, tapos and that meant exploring other things na I can do, ganun. Parang I really don't like the idea na yung identities natin are tied up with our
jobs, like
job. Oo, I don't like that idea at all.
Ayun. So I guess I also think it's because we are like trained, or like we lived in a world wherein the stable thing to do is to be a corporate employee. Diba?
And totoo naman, like parang you need money to live.
Parang there's although there is like some there are programs supporting like yung mga small businesses, right? Like banks like offer like special loans for those types of endeavors. Pero for some reason, it doesn't, like to me, hindi rin siya sa akin like innate or hindi, wala sa mindset ko to think that way. Kasi baka nga kasi my parents did not follow that same path. Like they both had like full-time like corporate jobs. So pero probably like for other families, mas natural sa kanila to get into business or to start a business and be an entrepreneur kasi baka yung parents nila ganun. Okay, so our super final question is, how do you think can we ensure that we can keep our creative juices flowing?
I feel like I need to keep reminding myself na this is worth doing. Parang yung creative thing, I have to remind myself once in a while na this is worth doing. This is important. Even if no one else thinks it's important, I have to tell myself or remind myself that this is important to me and I should keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like it starts with the mindset, and kasi you need to make an effort to make time for it. But also for me, I think it's important to still prioritize your health, because yung energy that fuels us to feel inspired to do things has also a lot to do with how we feel. So if we feel physically, yeah. Mentally,
like pag puyat ka, you're not gonna wanna make things. No?
Yeah. Kaya ano rin kaya it's very sexual in nature. It's also related to our hormones. Like, di ba sabi mo nga, you notice na pag high energy ka, that's the time you feel like doing stuff.
And also when I feel parang open to romance, ganyan.
Yes, kaya yun nga.
Kasi pag PMS, parang, no.
Yeah, long gana, like, whatever. Like, I don't want to do anything. But yeah, so it's connected to that. So it's important to make sure that we're healthy so that we keep our energy levels like at a healthy state also, that, makes us feel good and excited to try new things and do things. Yeah. So yung creative energy na yan, yung sexual energy na yan, it doesn't necessarily have to manifest in intimacy, but it's also yung something that can be channeled into like creative work.
Make things instead of
make
bastos yung sasabihin ko. Let's leave it at that.